You had, as Sherry House was telling us earlier, you would have raised your full-year guidance were it not for this aluminum plant Novelis fire. How deep was the damage? Can you quantify that in terms of like F-150 units or Expedition and Navigator units? How hard did it hit you, or will it hit you in the fourth quarter?
Well, we're still working through it, Matt. Hi, thanks for having me on the show. We're still working through it. It'll be, I'd say, around 100,000 units, but we still have the opportunity to improve that. This is really a retiming of wholesale. What we lose this year, we'll gain most of it back next year. Maybe $1.5 billion to $2.5 billion of EBIT this year, a little bit heavier on the cash because of how auto works. But we'll be gaining at least $1 billion, if not more, of that back next year. So it's kind of a retiming, very serious situation, but really proud of how the team dealt with it so far.
We also heard, as Gabriella Coppola just mentioned, that the headwinds from tariffs are really going to be cut in half. You had previously said you expected about $2 billion in headwinds from tariffs. Now you're looking at just $1 billion in those costs for this year. How did that happen? Is this just because of the proclamations that we got last Friday in terms of parts costs?
Yes, it was, and I have to thank Donald Trump, our president, and the administration. This is a huge benefit for America's largest auto producer. It did cut our tariffs to about $1 billion. It'll be about the same next year. This is basically a reduction of our imported parts that we make, that we have to import for our U.S. produced vehicles, finished vehicles. But they also announced a 25% tariff on imported heavy and medium duty trucks, which is a big benefit for Ford because we make 100% of our Super Duties, our most profitable vehicle, in the U.S. We do not import it, but our competitors do. So a lot of things going on in the policy area, including the EPA, upcoming EPA decision on tailpipe emissions.
I am curious what type of conversations, Jim, that you've had with the administration on the potential for some sort of relief, if not equity, with regards to how much of your production is based here in the U.S. relative to some of your competitors, and whether they understand the potential disadvantage that would put you in if there isn't some, I guess, some sort of agreements to smooth that out.
Really good question. So Ford produces 80% of what we sell in the U.S. here in the U.S. We actually export more, so it's more like 85%. We are way ahead of our competitors, even our domestic competitors. Some of them are only importing or making about 50% in this country. So the administration, Donald Trump himself, really listened carefully to Ford as we made our way through adjusting these new tariffs. And that was a proclamation we saw last week where we would moderate our tariff. We still have a tariff net, but this is a much more reasonable level. And certainly it rewards us as the most American car company. And you can see our tariff has been cut in half, basically. Now, we still have more work to do, but we're very thankful to the administration for the adjustments they made as we made our way through all this after the bilateral trade agreements with Japan, for example.
What conversations are you having with dealers right now, Jim, particularly when it comes to consumer capacity to spend, particularly given how high that we've seen, at least just general prices across the board, not just on Fords, but overall with regards to car prices?
The number one thing on dealers' mind and consumers' minds, of course, is affordability. We make America's best-selling vehicle, the F-150, for 47 years now, and that's what's on the mind of everyone now in the U.S. We're starting to see payments go out another full year to 7 or 8 year financing. It's not in Ford's captive, but some of the third-party finance companies are starting to see more stress on repossessions. That's not the case at Ford. We tend to have the highest end customers because of our prices. But that's on everyone's mind right now and a key focus for us. In fact, our fastest turning vehicle is a Ford Maverick, an affordable hybrid pickup truck, because it's affordable.
On the other hand, Jim, I imagine those Mustang GTDs that we've all been salivating over are going to be sold out as soon as they're up for sale, and I'm seeing more and more new Raptors, even Raptor Rs, on the road. So I wonder how you're doing in terms of those higher margin, higher end products.
Well, it's been a great year, and that's one of the reasons why we're so optimistic about next year. You guys talked about it on the show. We have tariff and EPA tailwinds, but you're right. The demand for our real passion vehicles and our high-end pro vehicles, work vehicles, F-250, 350, 450s, is really strong right now. And I think we're really in the sweet spot of new products, as you said, with Mustang and especially our off-roaders. Bronco, Raptor, Tremor, these are really popular vehicles, and they're also very profitable for Ford. We love those customers, and we're really leaning more and more into that part of our product range.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far off the beaten path, but I know you have a Raptor rally coming up this weekend. More than 700 customers going to be in Havasu, Arizona. And I know last time we talked on my podcast, Bloomberg Hot Pursuit with Hannah Elliott, you said you'd really love to win the Dakar even more than F1. How much are you leaning into that sort of high-end off-road racing business?
This is one of the pillars of our product strategy, which is to really be the Porsche of off-road. There is no such thing, and Ford has all the rights with Bronco and all the products you mentioned, Matt, for us to really own off-road, especially the performance off-road area. We're having all the Raptor people customers coming in from around the country. They're driving from even outside of the U.S. It's kind of a rally for our owners. We're just seeing incredible enthusiasm for these off-road vehicles. And we feel like Ford is best positioned to expand our lineup, to expand Bronco and Raptor even more. We're investing a lot more in this business, and I can't wait for you to see all the future product coming.
All right, Jim, you can invite me too if you want. I mean, don't just let Matt have all the fun. In all seriousness, Jim, I do just also want to circle back to the whole question about EVs and the strategy there.
Yep.
And do you see this as a reset of what we're going through right now with regards to EV production and, for that matter, EV demand?
It's a very dynamic market. We've been the market leader in the U.S. for a couple of years now. I think GM has now moved into second place. We came into the market 4 or 5 years ago with Lightning and Mach-E and E-Transit, and we have learned a lot. We'll update everyone on how we're adapting to these changes, but the market is clearly changing in front of our eyes. Now, that isn't the case around the globe, though. Europe is about 18% all electric. The Chinese are really making a lot of progress in Europe. And in China, half the market is PHEV and EV. So globally, because Ford's a global competitor, this EV trend is very strong. And we believe in the U.S. that the affordable EV market is going to be robust for many years to come. That's why we're investing in our universal electric vehicle that will launch in a couple years in Louisville. It's an affordable vehicle, about $30,000. We think that's the most vibrant part of the U.S. EV market.
Can't wait to see the next gen EV truck that you make either, Jim. And yesterday I was lucky enough to sit with Mary Barra and Mark Royce when they showed their next gen EV tech. And I asked them how they can get to some sort of rare earth minerals independence. Because no matter what you do as a business leader, you're always kind of beholden to China or trade talks, at least now. What are you doing at Ford to try and deal with that really difficult issue for U.S. producers?
It is, and I would just add not only rare earth, but obviously processed raw materials for batteries. And I would put a new one on the table now, mature node semiconductors that go into every Ford. All three of those are critical for Ford and for U.S. manufacturing. Matt, so you're spot on. Look, for rare earth, we continue to diversify our supply chain. There are some American and FTA country sources of rare earth. They're not as big yet, but we're really encouraged to see the administration's focus on this. And also, those companies are getting more resources now, and they're getting more serious. And with backing of companies like Ford, they'll be able to invest more. I believe we're on the right trend on rare earth. But on battery process raw materials, we have not made a lot of headway. And the Nexperia shortage is a great reminder. Diodes, transistors, these are basic semiconductor components. They also are being dominated by China. And this is a crisis going on right now, actually. And we're going to have to make our way through this whole transition. But you know Ford, we've been around for 120 years and never went bankrupt. We're going to figure it out.